because of the sensitive subject matter of this subject, I knew good and well that I was going to need somebody that had, you know, some insight that I don't bring, you know, especially of the female persuasion. And, you know, it's funny because I was sitting down just this week, the beginning of this week, and I was having a conversation with this individual, and it just so happens to line up with that which I've been preparing for this show. Now, I haven't met this I have not known this young lady for a long time, but I'm here to tell you, for the time that I've met her, this is an impactful individual full of substance. So much so that the room is controlled by her when she's in it. Let me tell you this. This is a wife. This is a mother. This is a servant of God. Got that one right. And this individual is a servant leader like none other. And I would tell you this. You've been warned. You've been prepared. You've been advised that this individual is going to do great things on top of what she's already done, but she has great things coming her way, and I'm so excited that she decided to take time to be here on Speak Rock the Show today. Without further ado, please introduce yourself to the Speak Rock the Show Nation.
First, thank you so much, Rock, for having me here and for sharing your platform with me. I am Nyheshia Johnson,
Yes.
founder of Building Our Girls Outreach, which is a nonprofit organization for empowering youth and young ladies. And this subject is so near and dear to not only my heart, but just to me as a woman,
Yeah.
as a mother, as a sister, as a wife. This subject, it's talked about a lot, but it's not talked about in the right places.
Right.
And the problem is that we have to make the same impact that we're having in our private conversations and at the dining room tables and at the school lunchroom tables. We need to bring the same exact passion to bigger and broader media coverage.
Yes.
The issue that we have right now with so many people missing is that we have no solution. We have a lot of awareness, but we don't have solutions.
That's good.
And so right now, my question is, what's the solution? How do we bring more awareness to it so that something starts being done? Mm-hmm. Why is there 64,000 black women and girls missing, and it's being talked about as if it's just puppies, or as
Right.
it's just something like, oh, it's not that big of a deal? Where does the awareness come? What does it take to bring more awareness and light to this? As I was sharing with you earlier, this week, I have an aunt who my mother is missing. The moment we took, and I want to make this very clear to our listeners, don't feel like because your loved one or because an individual lives a lifestyle that may not line up with yours, that their life or their absence does not matter. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I'm seeing. Well, they lived in a certain lifestyle. So maybe they don't want to be found. That's the misconception that I hear the most when it comes to this situation and when it comes to this problem. So my question, my issue, my concern is that all it takes for you to stop looking, or for us to stop searching, or for us to sweep it under the rug? Is because we don't agree with the lifestyle that the individual may have lived?
Yeah.
You know, is that enough for us to say, well, maybe they don't deserve the same attention or the same coverage or the same passion as it would be if it was a scholar student or a doctor or a lawyer because they lived a different lifestyle? That's something that we need to bring to the table. Because just because I may not choose to walk the walk that you walk, just because an individual may not choose to walk the walk that you walk, or even if they are, the problem is when we're missing, there's a whisper.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm concerned. Why do we whisper when it's time for us to be the loudest? Yeah. When it's time for us to make the most noise? We make the most noise about everything else. We make the most noise about being lit. We make the most noise about being the biggest thing on social media. But when it comes to the safety of our people and our women and our children, we whisper about it. We don't talk about it in the same attitude and passion as we would if it was anybody else. So I want to bring more light to this subject because it's near and dear to me. I've had cousins missing, I've had aunts missing. I know what it's like to go looking through morgues, trying to identify bodies. I know what it's like when you may have had a family member who lives a certain lifestyle, but because the police feel like, well, maybe, we deal with this all the time.
Right.
I was listening to a blog earlier where the lady said her 16-year-old son came up missing. And because he had a history of running away, they didn't even report it. So those are the things that our law enforcement have to take a little deeper look at too, making sure that our law enforcement are not negligent because they assume stuff. Because that's what I'm seeing a lot of too is, well, they're a runaway. Right. They live a lifestyle. They've been into that. And then we have to see what different aspects and what different things are contributing to this. What's contributing to the girls missing, to the people missing, to the trafficking? Let's talk about why is it something that's being talked about as if it's foreign, as if it's not happening right here in the United States, as if it's something that only other people are happening. It's a multi-billion-dollar business that no one is talking about. But it's putting our people at risk. It's putting our babies at risk. And we're talking, and we don't talk about it enough, and we're not bringing enough awareness to it. And what's the solution? What are the things that we can give our young people and our women? What defenses and protections can we offer them if in the event they feel threatened? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What can we do? What safe places do we have? If I live a certain lifestyle, where do I go so I can get help because I feel like I'm at threat of being one of these victims? Where do we have to open up a door for these people to be able to come and be not be judged, but be able to be free to say, I live this way, but I know that this is happening. I need somewhere safe. I need somewhere to clean up. Where do our young people go? Do we have a program in place where a young person that may feel like they're being followed or threatened, can they go somewhere? Do we have tags on a sign that says this is a safe place?
Yeah.
Where do we go? And how do we bring awareness to that? What transportation things can be put into place so that babies ain't walking home at dark? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those are the different things that we have to put into place and that we have to bring awareness to. And we also have to talk about the things that's happening, as you stated earlier, Rock.
Okay.
The social media, the gentlemen's clubs, the different sexual things that in content that's exploited throughout social media that our babies have.
Prostitution is still alive and well.
Yeah.
It may not be as publicized as it much as was. Kind of now we look at it as a nostalgia thing, like, oh, that was the 70s or the 60s or way before then. But that's still a business.
And not only that, it's glorified differently now.
Absolutely.
It's more of a contemporary prostitution.
Yeah.
I think that some people, when they think prostitution, they think of some woman walking down the street and hitchhiking, or a woman walking down the street begging for money. It's not the fact that I'm posting half nude pictures on Instagram for likes.
Right. Well, let's back up before we get too far ahead of ourselves. But let's unpack a lot of what you said. One of the things that really came out to me was, manhood. In this society of of a Me Too era or a feminist era, as far as I'm concerned, chivalry is alive and well with me. I'm very much old school to the point where it would offend a lot of women, especially if you're a feminist. I was brought up that way. I'm cut that way. Pull out a chair, open the door, wait for you to get in the car. That's me. My wife, whoever. It needs to be done. That's just what I believe. And guess what? It works. It works. As long as you do it the right way, you do it respectfully, it works. And women appreciate it. The question of manhood, where is the man in the process of all of this? Or in the midst of all of this? The second thing that you bring up that's so interesting is the lack of cultural sensitivity.
Yeah.
There is a process with your local police departments, be it state, county, whatever the case may be, even with federal, as it pertains to the process and the steps that you will follow for a missing person. And predicated upon what information that you give law enforcement officials, Are they dealing? Is the person who's missing? Are they dealing with any behavioral health issues? That's a whole nother classification. That would have law enforcement act a different way if once they know there's a behavioral health involved. So now it's a situation of where they're not missing because somebody abducted them. They're probably missing because their mental health has led to them wandering off. So that's a whole different thing and a whole different way they got to go about it. Most of us don't know that. Also, the other thing is, think about it. Amber Alerts. Who are those usually for?
Missing children.
Missing children.
But if your child is a runaway, they're not required to put off an Amber Alert.
Speak on it.
That's scary to me. They're not, your child's a runaway. Your child has a history of running away. But what if this one time he didn't? What if this one time she didn't?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think, my thing, does it hurt to just do it? You know what I'm saying? And what is the harm in just raising the awareness?
Raising the awareness.
What is the harm in just reporting it? My mother, who she was looking for my aunt, who has lived a lifestyle contrary to what we think is right.
Right.
When she went to report her, first thing they said was, well, does she do drugs? Was she ever in prostitution? Whatever. My mom was honest. She said yes, which is why I'm concerned. Well, maybe she doesn't want to be found, was the response that a police officer gave my mother. Maybe this happens all the time. That was the response that he gave my mother. Then they were so negligent with the information that when my mom went to file the missing persons report, the information was wrong. Last name wasn't right. The birthday was 10 years different than what it really was. Because they didn't take it with the severity as if little Jane Doe would have had. And that's what we have a problem with. So it didn't even matter that her information was wrong. So if you did identify her in the morgue, you wouldn't have known because you didn't even care enough to spell her name right.
Wow.
You didn't care enough to get her birthday right. Then you stopped answering the phone for me to the point where my mom had to literally file a report against the police station because of the fact they got so negligent. All because we answered honestly. All because we didn't say she was some upright person. All because we didn't say that, yeah, she walks this perfect life. Because we were honest about her lifestyle. Changed the trajectory of how they cared about her missing. You know, that's where we have to ask ourselves, why is it, does that matter? Is that another contribution to why it's so many?
No, it shouldn't matter because we're talking about human life here. And if we become stale on human life, and I can understand I don't, just because I understand, I don't agree. I can understand what, law enforcement is trying to, let's get a history because based on the history, then the
history is important so that you know where to look.
Yeah, right.
That's how I feel.
But that should not govern your ability to treat every human being as important. Yeah. So it didn't matter. Shouldn't matter on race.
Right.
These things should matter.
Right.
But the more we pull back the layers of that onion, we get to realize like this does matter. One of the things that really that strike me, and let me say this, we're also going to be taking calls for everybody who's listening. You want to call in because you may have a story like Nyheshia, or you have some information or some solutions. Please feel free to call in. We're going to be taking phone calls around about the 5:30 hour. The call-in number is 313-868-0331. That's 313-868-0331. And what I was saying is that when we pull back the layers of that onion, we realize how messy it is, and it'll bring you almost to tears because I've always been struck by when people need help people who need help. You know what's interesting is that as a lawmaker, you have to make a case. If you want to start a program, you have to make a case for funding. And it seems like that's how we treat everyday life. Other than helping and assisting, when you're already an elected official, or if you're already you've been hired into a police department or whatever case may be, I think shouldn't it be your sworn duty And not only that, as human beings, you know, where do your morals lie? Where do your values lie? What are your principles?
Right.
I think we've become so far, and a lot of it can be for personal care, because we want to be safe. We don't want to get too involved in people's problems, that we've become stale and we've become desensitized to other people's pain. And that's problematic. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Earlier, it used to be a time, you know, we would really have to get on, you know, grown-ups' nerves to say, you know, I'm just worried about me and mine. Exactly. I remember this saying. Exactly. But before that, we cared. But then we
also had the village.
Yes.
I may be worried about mine, but you also had a neighbor that would step in and intervene every here and there.
Yeah.
Every now and then. It's certain stuff that if my mama was going to work, I knew my neighbor down the street, her name was Miss Walker. She sat on her porch all day long.
I was going to say Miss Burdine right, or something like that.
You know, I know Miss Moore, who was next door, and Miss Walker, who was down the street. I knew that eventually, if I did something too off the wall, she was going to intervene. And she was going to let my mama know that she intervened. Like this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was going, but those extra eyes.
Right.
Too. Because there's certain things that I won't do because of who's watching me. And sometimes the kids feel like we don't even care.
Oh, stay right there, stay right there. There were certain things that wouldn't go on in your neighborhood because of who's watching.
Who was watching.
You see what I mean?
Who was watching.
Now, because...
But then...
Yeah.
We have the millennials who are the parents and the friends. We got to break the barrier because... At what point do you take who do Miss Walker pass her baton to? Who do Miss Verdine pass her baton to?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When she's too old, her children and her grandchildren got to be the eyes that she was to the next generation. And I think that's where the lines got crossed. I think that's where the ball got dropped, was when people stopped looking out for the next person because we are selfish. And because of, like you said, I'm worried about me and mine.
But let's talk about some of these... Some of the issues that could be contributing, and not to get too far, but I'm just going to, because that's going to be for our later segment, but some of the things, like, let's talk about cultural disrespect.
Oh, my God.
Cultural disrespect. I believe, because once again, I have this saying, like, I don't eat a sandwich from the minute. Nobody makes a great, perfect sandwich, tuna fish, peanut butter jelly, whatever the case may be, then just hold it up flat and just start eating a hole in the middle of it.
Right.
No one does that unless,
That's weird, but
unless you got something going on with you.
Got you.
But the thing, so you start from end to end. So my thing is, let's look at some of the things. So if it's been years, decades of disrespect for our own women, pouring 40-ounce bottles of beer on them, disrespect them by sliding a debit card through their behind crack. Come on now. We can't act like these things didn't happen.
And we got to stop acting like the music isn't helping.
Right. The
music contributes. Hip-hop culture is contributing.
Then we blame women for desiring to be a part of it.
Right. And it's like, well, where's her dignity? It's like, well, where did you build me up to have the dignity?
Right.
Where did the words that's the music that gets played the most is the one that degrades our women.
Right.
So it in a way subconsciously manipulates the women to want to be that person to be talked about, because that's the woman being talked about in the music.
Then when she comes up missing,
it's she was out there like that,
right?
You know,
then no one cares.
Nobody cares. Oh, that's what she was into. See, that's what she get for doing this and doing that. Really, is that how we feel for real? Is that okay?
Right.
Is that acceptable? Because we feel like that, but does that mean that she deserved that? You know, that's where we have to say, okay, how is everybody a contributor to this? Because I don't think that it's just that one person is doing bad stuff. I think that it's everybody contributing in their own way to it.
Right.
And the more we contributed into the negative, we have less people contributing into the solution. We don't have people contributing to the solution.
Let's stick right there for a minute. Let's get into some of this data. Now, I printed off a couple of things, and this was just 2 years ago. 3 University of Florida. It's a big institution. Huge institution of higher learning, right? 3 University of Florida students among 15 arrested in sex trafficking sting. Watch this. these three guys, two of them are African American. I think one is Middle Eastern, and they're somehow connected with a bunch of middle-aged older men.
Can I stop?
Yeah,
that's another myth, and that's where we have to be. We have to be and use wisdom there too.
Yeah.
This is not just a foreign thing.
Right.
This is not just someone from another country. Our own people are contributing to this issue.
Stop right there. Start right there. Our own people.
Americans.
I'm gonna make it even more personal. You're African American. I'm African American. Yeah. Got a guy right here, African American, Derek Bell. Now he's been arrested. Guess what? At the Victory Inn, right here in Detroit, Michigan.
Wow.
He just got arrested this summer, August.
Wow.
August. He was on the run for 2 years. Guess what for?
What?
Sex trafficking.
Sex trafficking.
Running a sting out of that hotel right in Detroit. Derek Bell. Now, he was on the run for 2 years. They finally arrested him. He was with a group of people. Bottom line is, at the end of the day, he was holding young ladies captive, women captive, in the hotel. Watch this. Watch how hurtful this is. In the city in which they're from.
Wow. But this is my problem too, though, Rock. Why did we only know about him when he got arrested? Why did we only know the severity of what he was wanted for when he was captured? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's another issue.
Yeah.
Because if he was wanted for 2 years, that was 2 years to raise awareness of what he was doing.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Those whispers, those things of, well, we're not going to let him because he's wanted. Those things help contribute to the business to keep running.
Right.
This is a business. This is not just modern day pimp. Well, no, let me say it again. It is modern day pimping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So why did we only know about him being caught when he got caught? How did we only know that this man was wanted? And this is another thing. Yeah. How many of those women that was held captive did we know about until he got caught? You talking about 2 years of this man being on the run. That's 2 years of publications that could have been put out about the women that was missing. That was 2 years that people could have been raised awareness about the fact that this man was wanted for sex trafficking of girls right in this city. So the absence of that information is why he was able to get away for 2 years. And why that business and whoever he's training was able to continue to move on with the business. So the silence is a contributor to the issue. The silence. Because we only know about him now because he's incarcerated. I didn't know his name when he was wanted for it. And neither did I know the girls' names that you caught. That you found. I didn't know about them babies. So that's my problem. Because why was there a silence until he got caught? Because 2 years is a long time.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Is it possible, just asking, got to ask the question, is it possible because it's Detroit?
Absolutely.
It's in a city that's predominantly, what's the percentage? 75, 80% African American?
It's absolutely an issue, our city, because but this is another problem. This is why it should be raise more awareness, because Detroit is one of the top 5 cities for trafficking. You have Detroit, I don't want to get them all wrong, but you have Detroit, you have Chicago, you have Baltimore, and there's 2 more.
That's right,
you know, so the fact that we're amongst the highest 5 is the fact that it should have been a war. It should have been raised. This is my thing. If you know we're the top 5, you know we got babies missing. You know we got women missing.
Right.
We couldn't have made it to the top 5 if you didn't have the numbers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the problem is you got the numbers, but you won't release the awareness. And that's the issue. That's the issue. Because in order for you to have the numbers, somebody reported it.
Now watch this. I got this information off of Homeland Security, Immigration and Customs and Enforcement. For those of you who don't know, that's what ICE is. So every time you hear ICE, ICE just doesn't deal with, you know, immigrants, you know, Mexicans crossing the border, whatever the case may be. So this is what this is. Matter of fact, let me get this one. Now, this is ICE's most wanted. Went to the website, just printed it off. ICE's most wanted. They got 10 of the most wanted. Now, they got 10 posted as their most wanted. 6 out of the 10 are wanted for sex trafficking, forced labor, And what was the other definition of what they're calling it? Forced labor and smuggling. People smuggling. Yeah. So in other words, what does that mean? That means, as you said, it's a business. They got multiple things that they're doing with these people. So if it's just some of you, we're going to deal with sex trafficking just right here. We're going to deal it local. And then we're going to smuggle people. Guess what? You're going out of the country. Be it Mexico or further, lands further away. This is how serious it is. So 6 out of the 10 are dealing with taking people from where they live. This is how huge this is. And
it's a
once
big
again,
percentage.
Why isn't the awareness larger?
Right.
Is it because it's, as they say today in the media, black and brown people? Is it possible? And we're just not saying it? Because let's just call it what it is. It seems like every so many months there's a report about a single white female missing, and it gets blown up. Like it's national news.
Talk about it.
Like she's in the woods or something happened. She's on the railroad tracks.
Or how about just that? How about they don't stop until they're found?
They don't stop until they found.
I can't remember the last time a woman that was either Caucasian or male that was missing, and they did not follow up with what happened if they were found, even if it was the remains. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have an issue with that too, because we got women and children missing that could still very well be alive.
Because it costs money for those searches.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Y'all find the money,
spent.
But they find the money for who they think it's it'll go into some good. Oh, if we find this person, you know what I'm saying. If we find the money is worth this person, you know what I'm saying. Like that's the issue. That's that hurtful. There's a distinguishment of who the money is worth.
Yeah.
You know that because then because if that's the case, our babies will never be found, because we're always going to be at the end of the totem pole. We're always going to be at the bottom of the barrel. That's just how I feel like that, because they're never going to place us at a place where we come before anybody. So when does human life become equal across the board? When does human life become equal, no matter if you black, brown, white, Caucasian, Mexican, Hispanic, Latino? When does the cost of human life become equal across the board? When we get to that place, that's when we will see a change. When there is equality across the board for every situation. I noticed, let's even go down to like drugs and stuff.
Okay.
Heroin, I noticed in Warren, when the white kids started overdosing on heroin and stuff, that's when you seen people out there with signs. That's when you seen news coverage. That's when you seen them out there picketing.
Yeah.
That's when you seen it. Baby, they been killing our folk since the 80s. Since, you know what I'm saying? So why is it a difference in awareness because of the skin tone, because of the skin color, because of the black and brown communities? You know what I'm saying?
Now, that's interesting that you bring that up, because I know you've done some research as it pertains to the numbers. Once again, let's be clear. Missing people, missing persons, it happens to everyone. Male, female, Caucasian, African American, Asian, Native American, you name it. Okay? It happens. But just for clarity's sake, the show today is talking about African American women, okay? And young women. Yeah. Because obviously they don't discriminate.
Babies too. And it's babies too. I mean, we're talking about little kids. We are talking about, there has been, just go search missing young people. Go on YouTube. Find out who's missing in your area. That's one thing.
We'll elaborate on that. Because I know we have some data. We have some data from the FBI. So elaborate on the numbers as it pertains to.
So as far as numbers, we have over 600,000, and that's a wide range. It's like between 600 and 620, but it's a broad number, and that number is raising daily of missing people.
Yeah.
And this is not to neglect the people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, out of those 600, you have 230 of them who are minorities. 27% of that is black women and young girls,
Wow.
which equals over 64,000 women and children.
Yeah.
Black. You know, that's the number that is scary. So the solution to that is find out who's missing in your area. Find out if you are a woman, if you're a male, if you are a grandmother, go to your local police station. What baby missing in my area? You know, that open your eyes. You know, stop thinking that just because it's not your direct family member that you can't do something. That you don't have a way, that you can't be a part of the solution.
Sure.
Because guess what? If the people who are doing this, the kidnappers, the traffickers, if they knew that there were more people watching, they'd be a little bit more apprehensive to what they did and who they did it to.
Absolutely. So, hey, solution number one.
Yeah. Go and find out who in your area, who in your demographic, because you can't help the world.
Right.
But if you see two faces, if the police officer can say these two people came out of your zip code, you know that's two faces that you got to look out for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's something that you can definitely find out who's missing here. Find out what happened. Find out how long they've been missing. Find out what area they were missing from, so that you can understand the psychology and the psyche behind the people who are getting kidnapped.
That's good.
You know,
that's good.
That way you're not just becoming someone watching the news. Because a lot of us watch the news. We watch the news religiously. How many of us actually follow up and say, not in my neighborhood?
Right.
You know, not in my neighborhood. Find places, partner with businesses that are safe havens. Yeah. I know that the guy from, I think is I don't want to get it wrong, the New Era Detroit, I think it is.
Yeah.
He is partnering with businesses. I seen it on the news last week. But he can't do it by himself.
Right. We
got to all get together and figure out what can we do. If you own a barbershop, brother, if you own a boutique, sister, put a stick on your door to say this is a safe haven. So that way, if a baby feel like they being lost, if a baby feel like they being followed, they can slip into your door and say, hey, this is my auntie place. You know, and call their parent from there. That way, they know there are safe places that you can get to. You know, because a lot of kids feel threatened now.
Yeah.
You know, and we know how it is. Parents got to get to work. So these children and these people, these women,
right? You
know, brother, if you see a sister pumping her gas and she got 3 kids, help her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
She got 3 kids in the car. You know, she can't, you know, if you see her at the gas, sister, I don't mean to bother you. I see you got 3 babies. Let me, I don't want nothing. Just let me pump your gas. And some women may be apprehensive.
Let me speak on that real quick, because one of the things, and I would say this would be the second solution, especially as men, we're going to have to weather the storm. Because I'm going to call it what it is. We've done a lot of bad that we got to fight through. And I experience it every day, especially if I'm just trying to be cordial and be respectful. I gotta fight through a wall just to be respectful. This is true. Why?
True.
Because I don't know what that female been through.
This is true.
I don't know. She probably been brutalized, disrespected, and I look just like the guy who did it.
This is true.
Okay? So, but I got to fight through that. And what I'm saying is, I'm asking people, develop systems for your own home. And what that means is, I'll give you just what I do. You know, this technology you got in your hand, this thing right here, how about use it? And hold each other to a standard. I'm a grown man, and I still got to report and let people know in my household, hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Hey, I made it.
Absolutely.
And that's a requirement in our household. And our alertness is so high that if I don't hear from you during a time which I should be hearing from you, I'm alert. What's going on? I'm calling. You know, and I have to, and what I mean, suffer through it. A lot of time I have 3 daughters. And I have to continue to educate them and let them know, yeah, I'm not just trying to be in your business.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to bother you. I'm not trying to control you. But I need to know where you are. I need to know that you're safe, and so forth and so forth. So set a system. Whatever your rule is, whatever your practice is, whatever makes you feel comfortable, be it checking in with a text, be it with a phone call, whatever it is,
Right.
make it happen and follow through.
Yeah.
Even if y'all meet each other at the house at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
make a plan. Now, let me also share this, because you talking about getting involved.
Yeah.
And this is something, when I was doing my research, this is an organization called Black and Missing Foundation.
That's right. Got my,
You got that?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Black and they got the statistics, they have the information, they got all the details as it pertains to what's going on. Guess what? They did It was funny. I went all through the FBI, the NCIS, ICE, everything, doing my research. Come to find out, they've already did it for us.
They've already did it. They've already done it.
Yeah.
And they are an organization that is constantly raising awareness.
Absolutely.
Constantly. If you need to know something about this business, if you need to know something about trafficking, if you need to know what's happening, where the numbers are, this organization is major, and they are really trying their best to make sure that we are on top of it.
Do a search as well.
Yeah.
If you're searching for an individual. Let me go ahead and give you that website real quick so y'all can jot this down. It's www.blackanmissing.com. That's www.blackmissing.com. And Nyheshia is right. It's full of information, full of data, and it has a search engine. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say I know it's a nonprofit, but the two founders, and they just done a magnificent job putting this together.
And they're constantly doing more. So we definitely want to make sure that you go to their site and just do your research.